Hey, hey, Wild West Adventures. We're here at the Holbrook Old West Cemetery. We're going to look for the graves of the three men killed at the gunfight at the Blevins house. Welcome to part 2 of our Pleasant Valley War retelling. If you are new here, please be sure to view part 1 so that you understand a little bit about the first 2 events of the Pleasant Valley War. When we left off, William Graham was dead and Ed Tewksbury had fled to the hills, presumably because he had been the one to shoot William Graham. So 15 short days following that, the Graham faction decided they wanted revenge for the death of William Graham. So they rode their horses out to the Tewksbury cabin, and there they found John Tewksbury and William Jacobs were out gathering their horses. The Graham faction ambushed Tewksbury and Jacobs and then set their sights on the Tewksbury cabin. There, the gun battle continued for several hours. Finally, when the Tewksbury family was able to go out and find the bodies, they had been so ravaged by wildlife, there was nothing much to bury. So they dug a shallow hole and buried both Tewksbury and Jacobs in the same grave. A few days later, a member of the Graham faction by the name of Andy Blevins was overheard bragging that he had killed both of the Tewksbury men. Holbrook Sheriff Commodore Perry Owens heard this rumor and decided it was time to arrest Blevins. Hey, Wild West Adventures. I'm here at another stop along our Pleasant Valley War video series. We are here at the historic Blevins house. So as the story goes, a man named Andy Blevins took responsibility for one of the very many shootings in the Graham-Tewksbury feud. And the sheriff, Commodore Perry Owens, decided it was time to arrest Andy Blevins. So he came to this house, his family homestead. Apparently they were sitting down for dinner, as you do, and he ordered him to come out. When Andy refused, Commodore Perry Owens brought out his gun and began firing upon the house. Gunfight ensued, and by the time it was done, 3 people lay dead, including Andy's 15-year-old younger brother, whose grave we are going to visit in just a moment. Imagine this house 100 or so years ago. Imagine it on the afternoon of September 4th, 1887. In a few moments, Commodore Perry Owens, the elected sheriff of this county, will arrive at this pleasant scene to create an act of carnage that will live in Arizona history as long as this state exists. The Miranda Act did not exist in 1887, and the rights of the peaceable occupants ignored as Sheriff Owens gunned down 4 people, 3 of them to die in a blaze of gunfire from his rifle. This model of the Blevins home was built on a scale of a 1/2 inch to 1 foot. It was constructed by the husband of Ruth Blevins, whose family suffered a tragic loss in 1887 while defending their household. We're going to look for the graves of the 3 men killed at the gunfight at the Blevins house, which we went to earlier today. Now remember, he came there to arrest a man by the name of Andy Cooper, or Andy Blevins. And while he was there, his brother John came out and also joined in the gunfight, as well as his younger brother, who was only 15 years old, and a family friend who was visiting. And there is a memorial here to that 1887 shootout, which we are going to visit at this point. Here we have found the memorial to Andy Cooper, Sam Houston Blevins, and Mose Roberts in memory of the Blevins who died in the shootout on 4 September 1887. And then if you'll look over here, we have in memory of Mary Blevins. Her husband and 4 sons died violently within 6 weeks of each other in 1887, all due to this Pleasant Valley War. She lived in Holbrook and she died in 1911 at the age of 66, grief-stricken to the end, buried here, but site is unknown. And apparently, her 15-year-old son, Sam Houston Blevins, died in her arms at the cottage that you see here before you. Now, after the shooting, Sheriff Commodore Perry Owens was fired for his job, but a coroner's jury found him not guilty of the murder. However, according to some, he lived out the remainder of his life feeling horrible that he had shot a 15-year-old boy. All right, thank you for watching. This is Wild West Adventures. I hope you'd enjoyed this. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and I will catch you on down the road.